Hello, thanks for joining us on the 6:15 primetime newscast in the English language on Canal International. My name is Gladys Sambudiba. Stay tuned for our top stories. Traffickers of human parts behind bars in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, they were arrested by gendarmerie officers following an alert of the bad practice by some individuals in the town. The gang, made up of 4 members, have been presented to the press. And the deplorable condition in which some internally displaced persons live in Douala, Cameroon's economic city, most of them who fled conflicts in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon, seeking refuge in Bonabome, somewhere in the Douala 4 municipality, live at the mercy of strong winds and water from the sea. Thatch houses built on degraded mangrove area have become death traps and pose a permanent danger to inhabitants who are caught between living in these squalid conditions or going back home to the armed conflicts. And projects in Cameroon's economic city or in the littoral, 10% is the execution rate of projects so far in the littoral in the first half of 2022, a disturbing rate which stakeholders have blamed on delays by council's management. They have been called to execute the projects under the public investment projects, or those who are still to award contracts to do so in order to improve the rates by October 2022. Those were our headlines. Developments right ahead.
Canal International.
Thanks for joining us on the primetime newscast in the English language. We begin with the story from the nation's capital, Yaoundé, to talk about a gang of human traffickers that have been arrested in the nation's capital. They fell in the dragnet of the National Gendarmerie following an alert by some individuals who denounced the bad practice. The gang of 4 were presented to the press in Yaoundé. The details with Haisan Shia.
These are the alleged human parts traffickers, languishing behind bars, here at the Special Research and Criminal Investigation Department of the Mfundi Territorial Grouping of the National Gendarmerie. These beautiful suitcases with an unbelievable content, human bones and skulls, at their disposal during the time of their arrest on Saturday, August 13.
L'interpellation justement due.
Their arrest is on the digging and trafficking of body parts. They are youths that have embarked on easy ways of making money. They sell the parts at high prices, generally destined for mystic practices and the production of hard drugs that are very dangerous to our society. The chain of the presumed traffickers, quite long, each getting into the black business at a different stage. One day I was approached by a woman in my quarter. I had complained to her that life is not easy, so she told me that there is a way I can live well while schooling. She then said, if I'm ready, she will connect me to a very lucrative business, and that my role was just to look for clients. So that is how I got into it. I am a student. Whenever I am not in school, I go to Mukolo for little business. That is how I got in contact with my friend, who also told me to look for customers for this business. They remain in custody while the elements of the National Gendarmerie continue the hunt for the other members of the dangerous network.
Horrible condition in which some internally displaced persons live in Douala, most of them who ran or who fled the conflict in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon and currently seeking refuge in Bonabome, a locality in the Douala 4 subdivision, and they live at the mercy of strong winds and water from the sea. Thatch houses built on degraded mangrove area have become death traps and pose a permanent danger to inhabitants who are caught between living in these squalid conditions or going back to the armed conflict. Regina Leketanda tells us more.
Far from the gunshots in the conflict-hit northwest and southwest regions, this is what these internally displaced persons now call home. Thatch homes built on remnants of destroyed mangrove, squatting in this marshland in Bonabome, in the Douala 4 municipality, is the only choice they have.
The water came in the morning, high sea came and is going, as you can see. If you look at that way, you see that the sea is already going.
It is an area that was formerly occupied by mangroves, and the stalks of lost population of mangroves are still visible. Anne acquired a 100 square meters piece of land here in the dry season at 400,000 francs CFA. But with the rains, she now regrets. I came here and bought a piece of land in the dry season. I did not know the area was this marshy. It rained heavily on Sunday, and so much water came here. And that was when I pondered, is this really how bad this area is? Had I known. It is a battle, day in, day out, to prevent water from sweeping away their homes. And for that reason, young people are constantly digging mud to protect their homes and create channels for water. We, the young people here, spend time filling the surrounding of our homes with mud in order to form a barrier to block water. Around these makeshift homes are deep holes, a death trap for young people. 2 children died and were extracted from this pit less than a month ago.
And to talk about the National Observatory of Climate Change that has sent a warning signal concerning threats to the ongoing temperature fluctuations in rainfall. This may cause crop yields to drop drastically. And in the following report, Sherifa Saleh details out of it.
Cameroon could in the coming months witness a drop in its crop yields. A warning note sounded recently by the National Observatory of Climate Change links the threats to the ongoing temperature variations and fluctuations in rainfall. According to the observatory, the crop most at risk is maize, which is widely consumed nationwide, and especially in the northern regions where risk of flooding and attacks by armyworms remain high. Elsewhere, heat wave episodes have been announced in many localities in the far north and north regions following high temperature oscillating at between 30 and 35 degrees. The high temperatures are likely to stress plants and thus cause yields to drop significantly. ONAC also warns of risk of a decrease in minimum temperature with cold nights in the 2 regions mentioned above, as well as in Adamawa, the west, the northwest, the center, the east and the south. Finally, the observatory forecast a significant decrease in rainfall throughout the national territory, with rain levels expected to be lower than those registered during the 10 days from July 21st. This will cause a deterioration in the quality of peanuts as well as tubers, cassava, cocoyams in many localities in the littoral, southwest, west and northwest regions as a result of the saturation of soil with water.
And still in the environment, Cameroonian web influencers have joined efforts in the fight against nature protection of the environment. This by sensitizing the indigenous women on the importance of their environment and the preservation of their culture. The sensitization campaign was launched in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, by this August 17, and Omoko Sumi took part in that campaign and put together this report.
Sensitizing on climate change, the protection of the environment, is the objective of this campaign between the web influentials and the indigenous people.
d'un problème bien spécifique pour essayer de sensibiliser.
We have a specific problem here, which is to sensitize on global issues like environmental protection and the protection of indigenous people.
Sur la problématique globale de la protection des forêts et de la protection des droits des populations autochtones.
Concernant la campagne, nous comptons toujours faire des plaidoyers en menant.
In this campaign, indigenous women are the main target so that they can be able to raise their voice in case of any problem.
Elles-mêmes puissent porter de leur voix leurs problèmes.
The indigenous women also drilled on the importance of the preservation of their different rich cultures.
Les plantes et les arbres nécessaires pour une bonne alimentation. Nous sommes de vrais activistes de la protection de la nature, celles-là qui au quotidien respectent et sélectionnent de manière efficace les cultures et les espèces pour l'alimentation des communautés.
The campaign launched by Greenpeace this August 17 in Yaoundé was an occasion for the indigenous women to express their worries and the challenges ranging from land issues, limited medication, migration, among others.
We now move from the environment to talk about economy. We have Cameroonians in the diaspora that have called on government to create an enabling environment for them to come back home with investment opportunities to develop the country. They decry the irony of easy mechanisms rendered to foreign investors while Cameroonians are subjected to bureaucratic measures that scare them away. They were speaking in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, during a press conference, August 17, 2022. Hi, Sentia, with more.
According to these German-based Cameroonians, a sustainable development is possible in Cameroon, but that can only come by through a frank collaboration and honest partnerships.
When we come together with honesty, having the same agenda, the same mind, and that mind is to help the community, to help others, it is the only way that we'll be able to achieve this sustainable development.
The drive towards impacting the young people in becoming autonomous, not an easy task.
Get to a young person, you're fascinated about the young person, you want to support the young person, and then boops, somehow the young person did not come out with his own interest, and then there's a conflict, and you realize that it's always blocking the way forward.
The diaspora Cameroonians decry the complicated mechanisms that scare them away from investing back home.
We have this bureaucracy system that is really a limitation, because when you go here to do one document, they send you here, and at times they even know why and so on. It's very challenging.
Talking to the men and women of the press this Wednesday, August 17 in Yaoundé, on the need to change the strategies, they call on the government to break the barriers, impact Cameroonian communities.
Some of our partners that come from outside, Chinese, they have easy way to go through. They open them doors in many things, but we that's supposed to be in our country, we have this difficulty to have everything done. So one of the things that they can do is that to remember that we are first Cameroonian and want to help Cameroonian, and we are better to be at home. So, and with the desire that we have cannot be more than the people, the foreigners that come. We help our people better.
They urge the young people to seize opportunities that can render them more useful to their society.
And still in economy, to imagine that just 10% of the 538 projects that were earmarked for the littoral region of Cameroon have so far been executed, a drop of about 14% as compared to the 24% that was recorded same time last year. This was disclosed during an assessment meeting in Douala this August 18, 2022, during which council managements were called upon to hasten their footsteps in order to catch up with the 99% rate expected by October 2022. The details in this report.
Of all the contracts awarded this 2022 in the littoral region, only 9.98% of them have been executed. Last year, same time,
The execution rate stood at 24%, a drop of about 14% this year.
The rate of execution was 10%, over 24% at the same period last year. The main problem was the absence of the carton de crédit. That is the main element to start the contractualization. That was one of the problems. The second problem was the insufficient quality performance of the contractor, the mayor, because they are the one who's supposed to send the project to the Commission de Passation de Marché.
The littoral region was granted 11.2 billion CFA francs budget for public investments, and this fund was allocated to execute 538 projects. At this meeting in Douala, August 18, 2022, to assess public project execution in the region, it was disclosed that only 64% of the 538 projects had been awarded by July 31, 2022, a drop of about 20% as compared to projects awarded same time last year. The littoral regional delegates of the Economy, Planning and Regional Development expressed concerns that just 35 of the 196 available purchase orders have been signed out. Ella Blaise Aimé urged council management still feet dragging to get to work and ensure the overall execution rate improves by at least 99% by October 2022.
Recommendation was to ask them to start and finish the contractor before 31st of August, so that they can execute the project before October.
Councils which are still without a single project executed or are yet to award contracts include Mombo, Edeatu, Masok, Baribakem, Melong, Dbombari, Penja, Kongsamba 1, Yabasi, amongst others. And still in economy, fine-tuning the projects of the Ministries of State Property, Survey and Land Tenure around government priorities for 2023-2025 and the preparation of the 2023 state budgets, the focus of the expanded meeting mobilizing officials of the centralized and decentralized services of the ministry in Yaoundé today. Minister Henry Eyebaisi and collaborators making sure their projects get the midterm expense score of 70 on 100 needed to be on the state budget planning. Beatrice Gamo completes the story from Yaoundé.
The Ministry of State Property, Surveys and Land Tenure wants to make sure the midterm expenses score of her priority projects is within the expected score range of 70 on 100. The objective of the expanded meeting mobilizing officials of the central and devolved services this Tuesday in Yaoundé.
Indeed, this is the first time that the meeting brings together officials of the central and decentralized services of our ministry is being organized on specific theme. This is an indication of its symbolic and intrinsic importance and value.
With the 160% MINCAF performance level in 2021 to the state budget recovery needs to meet the actual and future challenges. This includes that for collective appropriation, which should enable all at their level to give details on the situation of their activities on state property, surveys and land tenure, and to come out with the moves to be taken in that light. Other challenges include
celui de la maîtrise et de l'optimisation,
mastery and optimization and the use of means at their disposition with budgetary constraints, the challenge of good planning of their activities and budgetary resources, research and more. Good mastery of orientations to MINCAF in the National Development Strategy, NDS-30, also included. The expertise of the Ministry of Finance, Public Service and Administrative Reform, Economic Planning and Regional Development, urban development and housing, and that of decentralization and local development, important for this mission also.
It is with that report that we wrap up this edition of